Hey there, welcome to First Glance with Jody Vance. Very glad to have Brian McEwen, who is the VP of Exploration and Development for Golden Arrow Resource Corp. The stock symbol is GRG if you're looking it up and doing some research on it, but you don't have to do that right now because you can literally get the story of this company, where it is today and where it is headed with your investment dollars as we welcome Brian to the show. Thanks for doing this.
I'm very happy to be here, Jody.
Give us a little background about your company, maybe the mission statement. What are you all about?
Well, you can't really talk about the company without talking about our chairman and CEO, Joe Grosso, who is he's the founder of the company, and he went to Argentina back in 1993. He had some relatives there, and mining was just opening up, or investments for foreign companies were just opening up, and Joe saw an opportunity there, and the company was kind of established as a mining exploration group working in Argentina. And since then, we've been working in Argentina. I've only been with the company the last 8 years, but Joe and other people within the company have been there for 27 years now, I guess it is, without a problem. 4 very, very significant discoveries that have gone on to become big deposits and mines. So a lot of success there. It's a very common name in the mining group. Recently, we've kind of got outside of Argentina just to kind of spread our wings a little further. So we're working now in other countries in Latin America as well.
And in there lies the great potential, right? Because very established in Argentina, a very friendly and amicable working relationship there, as you said, with 4 significant discoveries. But also, as you branch out, your reputation at Golden Arrow follows you into these new areas, right?
Well, that's very true. I mean, we're in Paraguay right now, and that happened through an invitation through someone within the Paraguayan government that knew Joe, was saying, why don't you come and see how things are in Paraguay? And we've gone there. And now, since we're the largest operator in Paraguay, explorer in Paraguay, and those types of things, once you've got an established company like the Grosso Group does, it opens doors. And we're viewed as a junior company, but our profile is a lot more mature than a junior company, I would say.
And that you kind of took my next line there, if you will, because so often on this platform, on First Glance, we're talking about emerging companies because it is difficult for those who don't have a huge investment portfolio to maybe jump in on some established companies. There's just not the ability to purchase the stocks at that level to sort of get into the game, if you will. It's sort of reserved for the expensive suit and pocket square set, if you will, with all due respect to those. But here's an opportunity to have the knowledge, the heritage, the experience, but also within a junior company scenario. So from an investment perspective, the risk, while there is always obviously risk, the potential and the risk to reward is weighed by people who have been there, done this.
Well, that was very well said. That's exactly the case. In the presentation that we normally do, we've got a slide there that says, these are the most important things when you look at investing in a junior company. It's the people, the history, what have they done? What's their reputation? The next thing is, political risk, the countries you're working in,
right.
The ability to get things done. And then the third thing is capital, to have the money. And we were fortunate enough to be able to sell our last project as a joint venture. So that allowed us to load up the coffers. So we're a very well-financed company with a good reputation in good countries with good projects.
And like you said, I've only been with the company for 8 years, making that sounds like a short term. Where for most people, it's like, what? That sounds pretty established there, Brian. You like your company.
No, actually, for me, that's the longest I've been with the company too, when you put it that way. It is a good company. It's an extremely good group. We have a very, very well-weathered management group here in Vancouver, but we have an extremely good technical team on the ground in our Mendoza office, which is really the kind of the brain trust of the technical side of what goes on in the different countries.
So let's just reiterate for our viewer, our listener, Golden Arrow Resources Corp is stock symbol is GRG, and you have the Grosso Group being mentioned here. Yes, they have a history of mining in Argentina, but also being in South America, where a lot of the countries are known to be mining friendly. And Golden Arrow's got some great potential because of that. Just to reiterate all of that. But Brian McEwen is with us, the VP of Exploration and Development. Now, you would know firsthand, all too well, perhaps, the difficulties or impacts, the roadblocks, the hard times that have come with COVID-19. How have you been navigating that as a company?
Well, that's just an excellent question. We've done, I think, better than most. I mean, all of the borders between countries and travel in South America have been shut, and they're facing all the same challenges we are here. And when you travel from one place to another, you have to do the 2 week, even when you go from province to province in Argentina, you're looking at 2 weeks quarantining in and 2 weeks quarantining out. So, you lose a month. What we've done, we're working in 3 countries in Chile, Paraguay, and Argentina. In Paraguay, we've got a very strong group there. And after the shutdown, we actually worked with the government establishing the different COVID protocols. So we match all those. And eventually we were able to go ahead and get the work done. In Chile, we had to hire Chilean consultants to do some work on our properties. And just recently, just in at the end of last year, 1st of December, we started opening up some of the work areas in Argentina. So we are working. I haven't been down there in almost a year to the day. Normally I'm down there every 6 weeks or so. So we don't do a lot of traveling, but we found people to do the work. We have been able to generate news, and we're getting it done. And I think that's a pretty good accomplishment given, the challenges that we all face.
Finding a way to get creative. And so many of the companies that I've been speaking with over the course of this series is the fact that there has been a lot of learning happening over this past year of COVID-19. And certainly as we are looking at this final leg of the journey that is this pandemic, and the preparedness for when a return to some semblance of normalcy kicks in, there are going to be some extremely hardworking and busy people ready to get stuff done at an all new level. So I think that comes into play here as well. Can I ask you a little bit about you personally when it comes to, you've mentioned your heritage with this particular company, but do you remember things like the first investment that you ever made?
The first investment I ever made?
Yeah. No, do you remember?
We don't want to talk about those. I started on working in some operating mines, and then I went into consulting. And as a consultant, you're an independent voice, and so we weren't allowed to invest in markets. So I didn't really get into investing until kind of later on, like only basically within the last 10 years or so in investing. And I thought it would be really easy. I would invest and make money. That doesn't happen all the time. At 2008, things crashed pretty hard. 2012 again. And so I'm a little bit more cautious now. And those 3 things that I mentioned before about people, projects, and money are very important when you do that. So I'm pretty careful what I invest in now. And it's, I'm watching some of these stocks just even today, they're going crazy. I wish I could get on one of those rocket ships, but I think for me, I go for the things that are a little bit more conservative and that are going to grow. I've done very well with my investments in Grosso Group companies. They've all had good paths, good return over time. So I'm on balance. I'm pretty happy. But I wouldn't go to me for investment advice.
No, I think it's important for people that are tuning into these, because there are a lot of folks that are novice at this and have that trepidation about investing, and to know that there is that level of caution and the awareness that, not everything's going to hit big, even though somebody told you a friend of a friend's friend's friend said that this was the one. You got to make sure that you're going in with the knowledge of the company behind the symbol and the people that are involved, and speaking with people like yourself who can share some of the insights of the story behind the stock symbol, I think is a real big key to this. And that's one of the reasons why I asked the question. I oftentimes get a similar answer, in that you want to know how the company is run in terms of ethics and people management and communication and ability to contact as an investor to get information. If somebody wants to know more about Golden Arrow Resources Corp, they'll get an answer.
Yes.
And
I think nowadays, nowadays, everybody's got a web page. You can go to web pages. A lot of companies are on social media. You can really get a lot of information on a company very quickly and decide whether you want to, invest or not.
Yeah.
I'm giving my children, my older children, some advice on that right now, because they're all keen to get in, and saying it's best to go cautiously and do your research.
I like the my stepdad taught me a couple things. First, he was like, always pay yourself first, put that money aside. You don't understand the meaning of compound interest today, but you will. Mm-hmm. And I thank him for that every day now. Yeah. But the other is, don't invest what you aren't capable of losing.
That's
right. And that is important, because it's not that you will lose, but just so that if you do make a misstep with your investments, you have to be able to recover.
That's
so don't play with money you don't have. It was the other piece of advice that I was given.
It's an expensive lesson. I've been there.
Right. It's an expensive lesson indeed. Well, I thank you for your time today. And I just want to make sure that we've covered all of the main points to get through to folks what Golden Arrow Resources Corp is all about. And I think that we have, in terms of sort of where you're at right now and where you're growing to, and how post-COVID is really seriously in the crosshairs of this company moving forward.
I think that's exactly right.
Well, I appreciate your time, Brian. Thank you for doing this.